Now we are curious.
Well, this man is one of the richest billionaires of the US.
This is what keeps me awake, basically, during night.
My son now wants to become a pilot, and you know why?
Can you become a pilot when you are afraid of altitude?
Publishing a book about all these stories. Hi, good day. I'm Rienk Stuive. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm based in Amsterdam. I'm a pilot for GlobeAir. I'm a commander. And I enjoy flying with this amazing company for almost 4.5 years now. And that's basically it.
Rienk, what would you say, what is in today's pilot life your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge, I think, is to make it all happen with all the people involved. What people don't realize is that it's complicated to get an airplane with passengers from A to B, and it's a lot of people involved. And making that all happen with the crew support, with dispatch, with customer care, with people at the airport, ATC, the hotels, taxi drivers. Yeah, you're continuously communicating actually with all parties involved. Also, I think the interesting part, especially for business aviation, if you are like a flexible-minded guy like me, business aviation is a lot of fun because you like to communicate, you like to be in the center, to talk to all these different parties. But it can be a challenge.
Would you say that managing the ecosystem became tougher the recent years?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of COVID, there was a lot of disruption in the whole channel. It can be a shortage of staff, but also a lot of new people came into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are explaining to a handling guy or to somebody who you expect knows everything, just basic things. And
so you're educating actually.
Yeah.
The new entrants in the industry.
And luckily, was my old profession. I was an educator before I started flying. So that's something I'm used to doing.
Okay. Quite interesting, yeah. Rienk, what would you say? Since you're flying professionally for years, obviously, have you seen a change of all these thunderstorms based on the ongoing climate change?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that there is more extreme weather events, basically. Because of climate change, sometimes people think that climate change is only about global warming, about heating up the planet. But it can also be like extreme drought, it can be extreme thunderstorms, extreme weather. So absolutely, we can see more extreme weather events. And in summertime, that can mean like more severe and more thunderstorms.
Rienk, you are one of the few pilots you have seen both worlds, like the commercial aviation and the business aviation.
Yeah.
What would you say, what are the top 3 differences?
Yeah, the top 3 differences, number 1, I would say, is the changes you go every day. Like in the commercial airline business, you fly mainly basic ILS to basic runways which you know of, and in business aviation, you can fly into mountainous terrain, you can fly NDB approaches, visual approaches, all kinds of things that in the airline industry is just not very common. And if they fly it, they would go like, yes, we can do something else. We do something else every day, every hour. Second thing is the flexibility. That's really something. If you don't have the flexibility in your DNA, you are not suitable for this job. I sometimes tell people that just an hour before the next flight, the destination can change because the passenger doesn't want to go to Zurich but wants to go fly to Geneva, for instance. Then we have to change everything, and there's a lot of change involved in fuel planning, etc. So the flexibility, which I like, but I know if you are not that flexible-minded, you should choose an airline job. The other thing I really like is the kind of clients and the places we fly to. We fly like golfers, Formula 1 drivers, Champions League footballers, like really interesting people, serial investors, you name it. And we come to amazing places where nobody ever comes. I remember once discussing with a pilot, you've been in the FBO in Nice. For us, it's basic, it's ABC. We come there like 6 times a week, especially in summer. One colleague once said to me, it is because you wear the uniform that you just can walk out here in, and of course they know my face. But if you're not, you're standing here outside the gate, there would be people like holding you back and say, you cannot go in there. This is a very amazing. I tell my friends, if you go there, you can, in summer, they have small shops there as well, where you can buy a bottle of cognac for 50,000 euros, where you can buy a Marc Chagall painting or an Andy Warhol painting. It's just in the flyby shop in the private terminal. Yeah, it's an amazing situation, actually.
What would you say, Rienk, is it when you deal with this type of customers, like Formula 1 drivers, sport athletes, soccer players, tennis players, serial entrepreneurs, are those people approachable for you as a captain?
Absolutely. That's something a lot of my friends ask me, are they approachable? They're just like you and me. And I always say, well, the number of not nice customers we get, I would say is 3% or something. And most of the guys, even billionaires, or you can just discuss, like we have a discussion. And it's like your Fingerspitzengefühl. You immediately know if the client wants to talk or not. And if they're not, it's fine with me. I'll do my job. But you can also, you have this kind of clients that are interested, like you are asking me questions and they want to know things. And before you know it, you have a nice discussion, and it can be about everything, basically.
Now we are curious, Rienk. Yeah? So tell us about one memorable story with the passengers.
I want to say 2, basically.
Yeah, great.
I have amazing stories. You know, I'm a writer. I write management books, and I also published my first novel last year. And I'm thinking about publishing a book about all these stories, because the stories are amazing. If we just go to all our colleagues, like 90 pilots, and ask them to tell the amazing stories and put it in a book, you'll have
a thick book.
Yeah, it will be a thick book, but you have a bestseller. But two strike out to me. I was in Geneva once, and I was sitting there positioning. So I took the most quiet spot in the airport, and then suddenly an old man came there, and there was a vendor machine next to me. And he obviously wanted something out of the vendor machine, so he put his card and it didn't work, and he tried and he tried, and I was reading my book. At some point I feel a little bit pity, and I looked at him. He was old, and he was wearing like, not rags, but he was definitely not dressed up or whatever. At some point I stood up, took my credit card, said, what do you want? This, okay, bam, bam. Here, I gave it to the guy.
And you wear your uniform?
I was in uniform. The old man went away. He would just say thank you, and he went away. Then 10 minutes later, a woman approached me, gave me 50 euros. I said, why? Well, this man is one of the richest billionaires of the US. We are here with our whole management team. And you just helped him out, and he was very happy, and he wanted to say thank you to... I said, wow.
Great story.
So I gave him the GlobeAir business card. I said, well, Brilliant. If you want to fly private, never judge a book by the cover. It's also with our passengers. Sometimes the most influential, richest people, you cannot tell by the cover how they look like. It was summertime, really busy, sweaty, and the whole FBO, the pilot lounge in Nice, was full of pilots. Like some of them can be a little bit cocky, with the 4 stripes. And all of a sudden, a guy comes in with flip-flops, shorts, and an Hawaii shirt.
So pilots, full summer mode.
Yeah, and from like, who's this guy? And we don't want to intervene with him. What is he, crazy or something going like in the pilot lounge like this? This was the most interesting guy in the room. So I approached him. And he happened to be the captain of the Global 6000 of Elton John.
So, see?
As soon as I found out, all the other pilots started to stand around us, and they all wanted to be and taking pictures and stuff. But it's just, and then of course I took pictures with the crew, with everything. And
so obviously the Nice FBO is the place to be, right?
Yeah, I think if you want to fly private, and that's the place you want to be once. But also, for instance, the FBO in Samadam. I remember coming there for the first time. Yeah. I had a short turnaround, and I needed to go to the toilet. That was the only thing. So I rushed out, went there. It was like a wooden chalet, like a ski kind of chalet. And I remember the first time standing there, I said, okay, this is where the magic happens. This is where Bill Clinton, Obama, everybody stands once in their life. And now I'm standing there as well, and where most normal people never come.
What would be your #1 advice to a young person who wants to become a pilot? If not to become a pilot?
Work-life balance, that's an important thing as a pilot. That's something you should consider. I know of some pilots that at some point they drop out because they just cannot manage this thing. It's different in business aviation compared to commercial aviation. If you are homesick easily and you be away for a couple of days, then it might not be for you. On the other hand, my son now wants to become a pilot, and you know why? Because he never wanted. It's just because he said, well, he asked me, he said, Dad, what do you like about the job? I said, well, I like eating nice food in nice restaurants, and every now and then in a good hotel, have a nice rest. And he realized, I saw him thinking, he said, well, oh, that's something I would enjoy as well. But also, and this is very important, my wife thinks that our relationship, even me as a person, has improved because of being a pilot. Because in normal jobs, you take your work at home. You have to do presentations, you have to write emails, there's a lot of things. Your to-do list always it's always in the back of your head. And your family knows it. And when you're a pilot, you prepare the flight 1 hour before, you look at all the situation, and then after the flight you debrief, close the aircraft, fill in the towel, do everything. But then when you basically go to the hotel or you go home, your head is more or less empty.
Cleared. Okay.
Cleared. And she said, well, that makes you a nicer person, actually. So it's a lot of, that's something people can consider as well.
Good. So you have happily married, you have a son, you have done basically your checklist, you're cleared. This is a big support to manage your family and your own work-life balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell people as well, my wife likes it when I'm coming home. She's really happy when I come home, but she's also like it when I go away.
Interesting question, Rienk. Obviously, when you're up in the air, you are at high altitude.
Yeah.
And when there's a young, let's say, teenager who wants to become a pilot, but he's sick of altitude. Can you become a pilot when you are afraid of altitude?
You're afraid of altitude? Now, basically, yes, I would say so, because it's a different kind of experience because you have a horizontal speed, and of course, because of the altitude, it's not affecting your altitude sickness. When you stand on the tower and you look downstairs, or you're in a balloon, stationary, looking at, you can be really afraid. Me as well. If I'm on a tower, I don't stand too close to the gate. But in a plane, it's absolutely, this emotion is totally gone. It's not an issue.
Actually, it's my experience as well. So up in the air, I have no troubles at all. But looking down, really, when you're at high altitude, at the tower, whatever, I said, it's a bit scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel the same.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Rienk, obviously you're an editor and writing books.
Yeah.
But what about movies? What about aviation movies? Have you one favorite aviation movie?
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing, but I would say it's Top Gun. And why? It's not even about the planes or whatever, but it's about the romance and the sound, and you can almost smell the jet fuel when you see that movie. Screaming tires and the engines with the flaming engines of the Tomcats.
Would you love to fly a fighter jet?
It's something I never considered. I did some aerobatics once. Yeah, it's obviously, it is cool. It is cool, yeah. Something, but I would not consider doing anymore in my age. Yeah, so,
talking about challenging aircraft or situations, tell us a bit more about your experience. Obviously, when you're up in the air, your target is, and your mission is a safe landing.
Yeah.
But sometimes the conditions can be rough, right?
Yeah.
We spoke about thunderstorms, short runways, icy runways,
yeah.
snowy runways. So there are multiple factors who could make a landing actually challenging.
Yeah.
What would you say is about wind? You know, when you have crosswind or wind shears?
Yeah, first of all, to make everybody feel good, we have certain limitations and they're stated in our manuals. So if we're outside the envelope of all the limitations, we never go, basically. So also with crosswind, with icing conditions, with slippery runways. But for instance, like crosswind landings or turbulent approaches, it's something that people can be scared about. And I expect a turbulent approach or a heavy crosswind landing, I always try to comfort them with the idea that how turbulent the plane can be on the approach. You're a pilot as well, you know that the closer you come to the ground, where the ground effect is, the more stable the aircraft basically becomes. When you go up and down like this in, let's say, a couple of 100 feet above the ground, sometimes they have the idea, how can you safely land it when there's the fluctuation that high? Automatically becoming closer to the ground, this fluctuation dampens more or less. And what people should realize is that a landing is dynamic, that every time you are not feeling comfortable about the situation, you just give extra thrust and you just go away and you can try again, or you can even decide to go to another airport just because it doesn't feel right to you. That's what experience basically means.
So you're always ahead, the aircraft?
Always ahead, and during the approach, even the last couple of 100 feet, you really feel if it's something that's while trying or not, and that's what an experienced pilot decision you have to make every now and then, just to go around because it's safer for you and for the passengers. And the passengers appreciate that. I've never heard a go around where the passenger said, no, I wanted you to. No, they always say, okay, thank you for making this decision.
Obviously, it's all about experience and training. With a pilot, every 6 months you are in the simulator, yeah. Full motion,
everything,
very realistic environment in the cockpit, and even the visuals and how the aircraft feels. But what would you say are the biggest differences when you practicing in a simulator versus sitting on the left seat and the cockpit of our aircraft?
Yeah, that's difficult because it's so realistic. It really feels like real flight. But of course, it's the amount of malfunctions they train you with. So a simulator ride never is a normal ride because all kinds of systems start failing one after another.
So throwing one after the other to your face.
Which can be challenging because our training institution, we train at the top institute in the world, flight safety, which is well known all over the world. So what's really important is, of course, the handling of checklists properly, one after another. And another important thing is CRM. It's like the communication, the crew resource management, it's called. But how do you deal with your colleagues? How do you troubleshoot a problem? Discuss it. What are the facts? What are the options? And make a clear decision in the end, based on all the facts that you could gather in a short period of time. And every pilot should try to use as much resources available. Are you able to get all the facts on the table together with your colleague, have a discussion and come to mutual decision? It's a matter of trust, basically. If this is not established, it can be a problem. So CRM is very important.
A good point, actually. Let's talk about a situation where you have been in the simulator, as an experienced pilot and commander as you are, and then let's say your colleague is a less experienced pilot next to you, and then, as you said, the instructor throws one malfunction after the other into your face. Have you ever experienced that your colleague just gave up and you were just on yourself? Well, are you even trained on that?
We are trained to do everything ourselves. Even the first officer, co-pilot, is trained to do everything by himself. And it makes sense, because if I have a heart attack or he has a heart attack, some of us must be able to safely land the plane. We can do everything by ourselves, but as long as there's 2 active pilots in the cockpit, you should never end up in a situation where you do everything by yourself. If they see it in the back, the trainers see you do it in the back, even how inexperienced the guy is, or maybe he can be lost at some point, it's my job to take him back into the loop. Try to ask questions, and why to have the same mental image, and that's called situational awareness. Where is the plane in the 4th dimensions, and what does the situation look like? Try to have him have the same mental picture as I have.
So this is clearly a responsibility as a pilot in the command as you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Try to make the situation awareness, this mental model of the situation where we're in. And if I have the idea that his mental model is different than my mental model, it's my job, by asking questions. Why do you do this? Why did you press this button? Or why did you do this? Asking questions to be in the loop. That's how we call it always. If we are all in the loop, but in the loop also means you want to have ATC in the loop, you want everybody in this micro environment, you want to have everybody in the same loop, basically. And that's a very important task of a commander, to make sure everybody is in the same loop, talking about the same things, addressing the same situation, etc. Yeah, about being a CEO of a substantial business aviation company, it can be challenging. Is it everything you expected it to be when you started this company, or is it different?
I'd say, as we spoke earlier, it's really about managing the ecosystem. And this is something I'm excited every day. Every day I find it interesting, challenging, being part of an ecosystem and having the chance to shape it together, you know, with our team, with our pilots, with the other stakeholders, you know, as you said, on the ground handlers, fuel suppliers, airport authorities, and so on and so forth. And this is what keeps me awake basically during night, being part and allowing me to actively shape business aviation. This is, I think, very rewarding. On top of it, as you said, is we have very interesting customers. And having here and there also the time and the chances to approach them and to discuss and chat about our services and so on. You learn so many things when you talk with customers, and then bringing it back to the team and to our crew and sharing. This is for me the most exciting and rewarding thing, I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.